All right, as many of you know, I was sick, I don't know, for 6 or 8 or 10 days here just recently. Pretty sure we had COVID, didn't go get tested, was not that concerned about it, but Ivy lost taste. So, that was one of the symptoms of COVID. I was sick for, 6 days, 7 days, whatever it was. She was as well, but didn't worry about getting tested. Certainly didn't consider going to get a vaccine, even though there's razor blade throat or whatever they're trying to scare us with now. Joining me, Dr. Peter McCullough, Chief Scientific Officer at the Wellness Company. Doctor, nice to see you here. No razor blade throat. Look, I've had a sore throat in my life. I've had terrible sore throats in my life. I'm not running off to get some vaccine. Is this the latest propaganda? What is this that we're hearing, sir? Good to see you.
Steve, where did this come from? Razor blade sore throat? Was this some CDC staffer trying to gin up interest in the most recent, COVID boosters in the fall? I mean, sure, sore throat can be part of a viral syndrome. The virus is always in the nose. The lymphatics drain back to the throat. So after about 5 to 7 days, there can be a sore throat. The way to prevent it was with daily nasal sprays and gargles, because get ahead of the virus. And of course, COVID-19, we are still seeing very rare cases now, but very responsive to ivermectin and the McCullough protocol.
Look, every day I feel like I see a new article, doctor, that talks about the negative impact of these COVID so-called vaccines. Every day, new revelations. People were injured. People died. There were problems. And you seem to understand, the more you read, that the companies behind it knew there were problems, and they shielded it or buried it or hid it altogether. It's frightening what they did, isn't it?
Steve, in our May 21st, 2025 U.S. Senate testimony, it actually produced a report. I just edited my section. It's clear both the pharmaceutical companies, largely Pfizer early on, then later Moderna, with the U.S. government, covered up serious side effects like heart damage or myocarditis. They should have gotten out ahead of this. I think the vaccine should have been pulled off the market very early or paused. Something is wrong, at least in some of the vials of the vaccine, that explain why people develop heart damage, blood clots, and other serious complications. 5 or 6 years into this, there is a long line of government and pharmaceutical officials and executives who are culpable for a large number of Americans who have been damaged. Sadly, some have died.
In your estimation, doctor, did the disease of COVID kill more people, or did the vaccine for COVID kill more people at the end of the day?
The analysis, this is shocking, but the vaccine caused more deaths than the illness. In 2023, the National Center for Health Statistics reported because a COVID death was someone who died during the pandemic but was test positive at any time. They didn't necessarily have to have the illness. The NCHS, they reported that half of the COVID deaths had no pneumonia in the chart, none. So they couldn't have died of COVID. So COVID deaths were grossly exaggerated. It's my estimation that if properly adjudicated, the real rate of COVID deaths would be about 10% of 1.2 million. So 120,000 COVID deaths. We are projecting now, based on a study out of Florida, as well as the VAERS system, we could be over 560,000 vaccine deaths.
Is there any reason? Can you come up with any scenario where a COVID vaccine would be appropriate today for anyone?
No.
It's that simple. It did so much damage, especially to young men and boys with that myocarditis, right? That was the big killer.
Steve, we still hear a push for vaccination of young people. Okay, so, there are some parochial schools will still require it. We don't hear about vaccination of our seniors in nursing homes. My mom is in a senior home. She says they haven't talked about them in years. Remember, it was the elderly that was at risk, not young people.
Yeah. Let me talk about this miracle drug, and it really is a miracle drug, the antiparasitic ivermectin. And I talk about this because, as you heard me say off the top of the program here, that I believe I had COVID. I didn't go test, wasn't that worried about it. But you said a man of my size should take, I think you said 48 milligrams of ivermectin to combat the disease. And when I had COVID in the end of 2021, I took ivermectin. I went from being very sick to almost healthy in a period of about 8 or 10 hours. People say, well, that's not possible. It's my experience. It's what happened to me. Ivermectin works. It knocks it down, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I've used it now thousands of times. It's safer than Tylenol. We just had to find the right dose, Steve. Someone, I mean, my size would take 36 milligrams a day. My wife recently got sick on a trip. We weren't sure if it was COVID or not. She's smaller. Gave her 24 milligrams a day for 3 days. In addition to nasal sprays and gargles, everything else, McCullough protocol, boom, she's better.
There you go. And the other places that ivermectin does well is this parasite cleanse from the Wellness Company. I just went through it. Ivy and I did. Great product, great experience. A parasite cleanse. 60 million Americans have this. It's the hottest thing going from the Wellness Company, by the way, this parasite cleanse. And then I just read an article, and I looked it up because you said you hadn't heard this. Entomologytoday.org is the website. Entomologytoday.org. Feeding deer corn with tick control drug shows promise to eliminate ticks. It's a big tick year across the country. You probably know this, Lyme disease and all this. If you feed the animals ivermectin in their feed, boom, it knocks the tick population down. Another miracle for ivermectin, the wonder drug, isn't it?
It is, and boy, I tell you what, if there's some control over Lyme disease, it's going to be a bad year this year in the Northeast. We need it. The strategies have all been based on the humans, not on the deer. Remember, the deer have it, and the ticks transmit it.
That's right. All right. If you want more information about parasite cleanse or any of the great things at the Wellness Company, twc.health/Gruber. You'll save 10%. Right now, the parasite cleanse, you'll save $60, free shipping too. Dr. McCullough, always appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.